Hey guys, it's Ben the Hen here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to draw this Velociraptor from Jurassic World Evolution. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So my two references for this particular drawing was this Velociraptor from Jurassic World Evolution and this drawing that Beanie Draws recently did. So keep that in mind as we're drawing this dinosaur. So we're going to start off with the basic form of the creature. So there's going to be an oval for the head, a line coming down as the neck, and then a larger oval, which is the body. Now for the thigh, it's going to be this triangular oval shape, which comes down diagonally, and then from the thigh, there's going to be the calf. So coming down to the calf, there's the foot, but I didn't really fully draw the foot because it's a basic sketch. So moving on from there, we're going to have the other leg. This Velociraptor is actually in a walking stance, as you could see from the reference image, which I showed you at the beginning of the video. So basically we're just drawing the calf and then we're going to draw the foot. Next we're going on to the tail, which is going to be very slender and narrow because that's how Velociraptor tails are. Now zooming in for a closer view of the arms, the bicep that's going to be more visible towards us, the viewer, is actually going to be facing backwards towards the thigh. The forearm comes in next, pointing forwards, and next the hands. There's actually going to be two claws visible on the hands, which are going to be curling in toward themselves. And as you can see by my rapid pencil movements, I really didn't like these claws and how they looked, so I erased them and redrew them. It's perfectly fine to erase and redraw if you don't like how something looks. So for the other arm, it's going to be basically the same thing. There's going to be the forearm and then the claws, which are curled inwards. Zooming back out, now we're going to put in the neck. There's not really much to say here except for the fact that it's two curves connecting the head to the body. Now we're going to solidify the lines a little bit and we're going to give the top of the body a little more height. Now we're going to finalize the shape of the thigh, so basically all we're doing is making the lines that we already drew darker. And when we're going to go draw the calf, it's going to be pretty muscular as the Velociraptor was known for running and jumping. But before we move on to the foot, I want to share a little fun fact. Did you know that bipedal animals actually walked on their toes? Just something to think about as you draw your dinosaurs. But enough about that, let's move on to the foot. So for the foot, there's going to be three claws that are going to be showing for both feet. There's going to be the middle claw, there's going to be the front claw, and there's going to be the dew claw. So when drawing this front claw, it's going to be shorter than all the other claws, and there's going to be a lot of padding that can be seen underneath the foot. So when drawing the middle claw, you're going to be wanting to draw it longer than the front claw, but it's going to be mostly covered up by the front claw as well. So something that Beanie Draws actually taught me was to color in the claws to make it look more realistic, since most dinosaur claws are a very dark color compared to the rest of the body. And now immediately starting on the dew claw, it's just going to be sort of a, it's the longest claw out of all of the other claws, and it's going to be sort of in like a cup, if that's the best way to describe it, and it's going to be attached to the foot. So just as we made the lines on the thigh darker, we're going to do the same for the tail now, this time making the shape more defined and more accurate. So after finishing up the tail, we're going to move on to the other leg. There's not really much to say here except for the fact we're doing pretty much the same as we did for the other leg. Just follow along with what I'm doing and pause the video if you need to. Remember to use that eraser. The dew claw on this foot is pretty much the same as the one on the other foot. The only differences being that it's a little higher up and the longer claw is actually longer horizontally while the one on the other foot was longer vertically. Here we have a bit of cleanup to erase all the structure lines. So as we solidify these lines, I just wanted to tell you guys a huge thank you for 100 subscribers. It might not seem that big of a number, but I really appreciate that 100 people actually like what I'm doing and the small little dinosaur drawings I post on YouTube. So just thank you for that, guys, and I hope you keep on watching. So as I solidify this bicep here, we're going to start getting more into the details of the creature. So here we're just simply adding some wrinkles and shadow, which is basically making the arms seem more attached to the body. So if you look back to the original image, the sun was shining a lot of light toward the front of the dinosaur. So these parts where the leg and the arm are attached to the body is going to produce a lot of shadow and wrinkles. So here you can see me drawing some shadowing and wrinkling. There's also going to be a lot of wrinkles and folds on the top of the dinosaur, especially near the neck and the tail. Here you can see the muscle line, which indicates the top of the chest, and the wrinkles and folds which I was talking about on the top of the body. When you draw these lines, you want to make sure they're curved so they indicate the tube-like shape of the raptor's body. Here you can see another prime example of me using my eraser to erase those wrinkles which I really didn't like and didn't really seem to fit in with the rest of the drawing. It's shading like this that actually brings the entire drawing together. These lines and folds and these muscle lines and these wrinkles that we add onto the tail, the thigh, and the calf, which actually bring the entire drawing together and brings it together as a whole piece. So if you look back to the original image, you can see that there are these lines and patterns that stretch across the entire raptor's body and thighs and calf. So that's what we're adding here, along with a few muscle lines and shading. So going even further into detail here, we're going to add some scales along the top of the foot, both the left foot and the right foot. As you can see, we're not going that into detail here because this entire foot is going to be covered by a huge shadow, which we're going to use to make it seem like the foot, the one in the back of course, is further away than the one in the front. And keep in mind that we're not going to make the shadow too dark, as we don't want it to blend in with the darker color of the claws. Because the drawing started to smudge a little bit, I got a piece of paper and I put it under my hand. So here, just like the foot, we're going to start darkening the lines in the hands, and we're going to get the final shape of the hands in. So in terms of what the arms are actually going to look like, they're going to look exactly like the reference image, with the front arm showing 2 claws and the back arm only showing 1. Gotta get those sharp claws in. Just like the foot, here we're going to be coloring in. We're going to be coloring in the claws on the arms. So now for the back hand, we're just going to be replicating what we did with the front hand, as well as, adding the giant shadow to make it seem like the back hand is further off in the distance than the front hand to the viewer. So after this giant shadow is done on the back hand, we're going to be adding a few scales and details on the front hand. Now as we zoom back out, we're going to be adding those wrinkles and muscle lines on the arm, at least the one that we can see as the viewer. So there's going to be a lot of muscle lines, skin patterns and wrinkles, and a lot of things along those lines. And of course, immediately after that, we're going to be moving on to the head, the final part of this drawing. So here we're going to be solidifying the bottom base of the neck and of course the top of the neck, and moving on to the final step of this overall Velociraptor. So if this Velociraptor was, per to say, scientifically accurate, it would have feathers covered all over its body. But since this is directly from Jurassic World evolution, the Velociraptor skull itself is going to be long and slender, sort of like the Spinosaurus, but more so like the T-Rex, where it's not super long like a crocodile snout. It's more of a short T-Rex snout with a longer and slender physique. With that said, we're basically just drawing the head as a whole just like it is in the reference image. So here we're just refining the lines, making the lines a bit more exact to the reference image, using the eraser loads of times because I didn't really like how this line or this neck of the creature really looked. So I erased a bunch and I redrew a bunch. We're going to move on to all the features on the raptor's face. There's going to be the eyebrow ridge, the eye socket, the nose, and all of the little holes and bumps that the raptor has on his head. And once I was happy with that, we're now going to outline and darken all of the lines on the head just like we did with the rest of the body. Make sure to add details and scales as you go along, but don't over detail any place because you don't want one part of the drawing looking super detailed and another part looking under detailed. The teeth, we're kind of aiming for small little upside down triangles. You don't want to draw too much attention to the teeth, but you want to make sure they're there. Right, now we're on the home straight. All we gotta do is add in the wrinkles and the details on the neck and in the face, and we just gotta finish up the eye. So if you watched this far, I'd like to thank you for supporting the content I create and the drawings I make. And I'd like you to go down to the comment section and comment down a suggestion of something I should draw in the future. It doesn't have to be strictly dinosaur based. I could draw aliens, dragons, anime characters, real life people, whatever you want. Just comment down below something you'd like. Have you ever seen a cat's eye? That's basically the raptor's eye. It's just a large ovalish shape with a slit down the middle and a little bit of a circle to give it some highlight. We're also going to add in some wrinkles underneath the eye and in that socket to make it look, to give it that 3D depth. We're going to draw in the nose and finish up detailing all around the head. And finally, after drawing all the muscle lines and the wrinkles along the neck and adding the ground for our raptor to walk on, we have finished our drawing. So I really hope you enjoyed this Velociraptor tutorial from Jurassic World Evolution. It took me around an hour to record and it's been condensed down to 12-13 minutes of footage. So I really hope you learned something from this tutorial, whether you actually drew the dinosaur or just watched along for fun. I really hope that you took something out of this. And with that, all I have to say is, this has been Ben the Hen. Keep on clucking, and I still need an outro.